As I researched this record, everyone always wants to talk about how this is a drug album, you know, and how the Beatles were on all kinds of drugs. And you love the fact that the Beatles did drugs, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. Because Friday night, maybe more of you than others want to admit it to someone. You love it, you know. We all love it collectively. It's in part of their evolution, and so many good songs come out. But some, you know, you might be thinking, John, I don't care for the drug stuff. I like the early stuff. She loves you, yeah. Everyone can get down with that. Can't buy me love. But then Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds comes on, and you're like, oh, trip me out, Daddy. Are you not? You might still be being like, no, John, me and my friends, we consume only wholesome stuff. No drug art. We don't consume drug art, you know. Me and my family, we watch Sesame Street. Drugs. Disney, a lot of drugs. Teletubbies, seriously? That shit is drugs. You love that the Beatles did drugs. It's okay. You're safe here. Admit it to yourself. They did a lot of drugs. What drug were they on for this album? LSD. That was the drug that they started taking at the beginning of Revolver. Now, John... Cool. Thank you. We don't want to get too excited about the drugs. So. Use responsibly. John and George were the first two Beatles to do LSD. I was reading about their first trip, and it was weird, man. They got dosed by their dentist. True. Which is not cool. Like, Craigie is very anti-dosing. I'm very pro-consent, okay? I am. But definitely you shouldn't get dosed by the dude who cleans your teeth. That's extra weird. Although I found out he didn't dose him like at an appointment. That'd be super fucked up, you know. Like, this ain't Novocaine, baby. No, he was friends with the Beatles, you know. If you're the Beatles, everyone wants to be your friend, including your dentist, you know. You guys want to hang out later? You know. So John and George went to his house for dinner. I was reading this, and he made him dinner, and then he made him tea, and he put a little LSD on the sugar cube, and they had their tea, and they didn't know what it was, and he had to tell John. He was like, I just dosed you with LSD, and John was like, what's that? And he told him, and John was like, oh shit, I gotta go tell George. He runs over, and he's like, George, we've just been given LSD. And George was like, well, we took a cab here, so how big is it? Can we bring it back with us? I don't know. And John was like, no, it's a drug. And even though I'm anti-dosing, they had a good trip. They really liked it. They had a lot of fun. And they came up with the idea that all of you came up with the first time you had a good trip. They were like, we got to give this to everybody. Yeah, they were. They were like, we got to dose Ringo and Paul. We got to do that right now. And John was like, is it cool if I just look at my hands for an hour or so? And George was like, yeah, I think I was gonna play my sitar for a little bit now. And John was like, oh yeah, trip me out, Daddy. This is a George song called Love You Too.